Upgrades.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another JVS movie review. Today, I'm excited. I'm reviewing a movie that reminds me of my childhood to the T here. And this movie is Twisters, and this is directed by Lee Isaac Chung. It stars Daisy Edgar Jones, Glenn Powell, and Anthony Ramos. And here's a quick synopsis. Haunted by a devastating encounter with a tornado, Kate Cooper gets lured back to the open plains by her friend Javi to test a groundbreaking new tracking system. She soon crosses paths with Tyler Owens, a charming but reckless social media superstar who thrives on posting his storm-chasing adventures. As the storm season intensifies, Kate and Tyler and their competing teams find themselves in a fight of their lives as multiple systems converge over central Oklahoma. Now, first, let me say this. I saw Twister, the original film, opening weekend in 96 when it came out. And I thought that was one of the best films I've ever seen in my life. I was so intrigued by the film. Anyone who remembers the trailer about Bill Paxton's wife as she's talking to one of her patients on the phone and cows flies by and she says, "Oh, we got cows flying." Like all of that stuff I remember as a kid and rushing to the theaters to go see Twister. And here with Twisters, my question up front was, could you possibly duplicate that feeling from 96? Those special effects in 96 were groundbreaking. The way they showed tornadoes and everything they did. It's safe to say up front, Twisters is just as thrilling as Twister was. Like, they do an amazing job with the special effects here. And that was the part, amazingly, being close to 30 years ago, I questioned the most would the special effects still be able to hold up? Because granted, while the technology has grown, I think in a place of technology growing, we've kind of executed at times special effects films, CGI, worse. Because it's so now grand in scope of what you can do that a lot of people don't know. You still need to reel it in just enough to trick the audience into what they're seeing. And I think in Twisters, they do a great job of that. As we're first introduced to Daisy's character, Kate, as she's a young kid just wanting to chase storms with her friends. And during one encounter with chasing the storm, everything goes haywire as they load up their version of Dorothy, which I think was in a beautiful play, because that's the exact same thing that Helen Hunt named her machine in the first film. And they encounter an F5 tornado. And if you saw the original Twister, it's almost exactly the same plot line of Helen Hunt's character as a kid. As her father takes her underground and they encounter an F5 and it changes her life. Here with Kate, we get the same exact thing. She encounters an F5 and it changes her life. And then we fast forward 5 years later, where she's no longer around storms, but then she meets back up with Javi and he wants to introduce her back into storm tracking as he's now come up with a system that he thinks can save lives. Again, same exact thing as the first Twister film of coming up with a system that can save lives and give people more time to prep for tornadoes. Same exact plot here, people. Nothing different. But then we get the introduction of Glenn Powell's character. And this is where we get the new ageness of the film, as he's just a guy on social media, on a YouTube channel, who chases storms, and all the hecticness that goes around it, as he's just a social media star more than he feels to be a storm chaser, or even a scientist who does this. He just seems to be a guy on social media. Everything about Glenn's character is reckless in this film at the beginning. His whole introduction, it just makes you feel like he's just off his rocker and he's closer to a Woody Harrelson type of character than he is something of a Glenn Powell character that you would expect in this film. But the thing that this film does well, they don't get in the way of the tornadoes. It's lots of tornadoes in this film. Lots of amazing shots with tornadoes in this film. And then on the back end, you get a solid romance story built into it. The first film always played between Bill Paxton and Helen Hunt because they were getting a divorce and then Bill was moving on. And then it was what they rekindled that love. Because we don't have that in a way here. Instead, we just have two people who, one, Tyler's character respects Kate and what that she does here. And versus Kate's character who's kind of brushing him off and thinking he's just a social media guy. Once all of that converges together and the story goes to the obvious place, everyone knows the story is going to go to. I think then the film gets a chance to breathe, and that's when the film gets a chance to take off. And that's when we get the poignant scenes of them two chasing tornadoes together. Or even the thrill of the hunt to chase the same thing. Same exact chase we got in the first Twister film. Like it's very good that they took a lot of what was in Twister and put it in Twisters. A lot of it. Like Javi and Kate's team is the team with the money. Tyler's team is the roughneck team. All they did was reverse the two teams here. Like that's it. And still making it thrilling though. Still making it where the tornadoes are the star of the film. And that's the key element here. While the love story is great, Daisy's good in this film. Glenn's a movie star. This is point blank and simple. He's just good to look at on screen. Okay? And Anthony also. He's a movie star. Like it has three people who are great at being stars of films. Three of them in one film. And yet and still, all of them understood that the tornadoes was the star of this movie. And Lee's direction was going to be the most important element of this film. And that's the part of this film that takes you over the top. Like, it gives you all the moments of the first Twister and more. And ups the ante some. While not being overly CGI. Because that was the element here when you're dealing with tornadoes, is that you don't want to make it a geostorm. Or it was another movie with tornadoes that came out before Geostorm. I cannot remember. I also saw that one in this opening weekend. It was horrible, but it was like a real found footage type of tornado film. I cannot remember it off the top of my head right now. I need to watch it again because that movie was horrible. But like, you don't want it to be those type of bad with CGI. Here, it feels like they still pay respect to what tornadoes can do and the destruction that they cause, because that is a key element of this film. Down to them needing to create a new system, because the whole goal of the new system is to either stop tornadoes or get to the point where we get enough information to warn people. Like throughout this film, they show the aftermath of tornadoes also. Like, and that's a good thing for a film like this, where it's just not focusing on move to disaster to disaster to disaster. It actually shows like, hey, this is how this impacts people. This is the livelihoods that's going to be destroyed by these tornadoes. Again, it's even in Oklahoma. The first one was in Oklahoma also. Same thing, like during the tornado season, where this huge tornado season that interrupts everything humanly possible. Like all of those elements are in here. And all those elements make this film thrilling. As I was sitting in the theaters watching this film, I immediately transported back to the kid who in 96 saw the first Twister and was just captivated by everything humanly possible. This film is so thrilling. It is so exciting. Like, this is the summer popcorn film. And that terminology is not used as much now as it used to be because those type of films aren't being made anymore. But Twisters is that film. While we've had action films of the summer, you don't get the popcorn action film of the summer. Those are closer to the extent of I can turn my brain off and thoroughly enjoy this film and not feel like I'm dumbing myself down while I'm watching it. That's what Twisters gives you. At no point in time do you feel like you're dumbing yourself down. Matter of fact, it's a heartfelt message in this film, along with a solid building of a romantic story that they don't overly play and overly push into your face. And then you get tornadoes. And tornadoes. And more tornadoes. And rockets for some weird reason. Not like in the sky rockets, but rockets being shot up tornadoes is also an amazing thing to see. Like it's elements of this that I think can intrigue all ages. And I think that was the goal of making Twisters, because you still have to harness everything that people loved about the first Twister movie and put it in a kind of a rebootish remake. Definitely not a sequel, but kind of a reboot remake of the first film. Like you have to play off of those elements that made that first film so successful, and I think they do it in spades here, along with having possibly the hottest movie star in the world in it, in Glenn, and him just captivate you. Like every time he's on screen, you just know you're looking at a star, and that is highly important for this film. And then other scenes with Daisy and and Anthony, you still get amazing star power and amazing performances. I think that's the key element of Twisters, is that all the way around the board, you understand exactly what you're in for, and the director doesn't cheapen it. It gives you exactly what you want. And that is Twisters, slight bit of love story, little bit of conflict, and more Twisters. That's all you could ask for in this film. And they do that and give it to you in spades, and they give it to you in the most amazing way. So, Twisters, brought to you from Universal Studios and in association with Amblin and Warner Brothers. And it drops in theaters. Well, today is Thursday. So it dropped today at early screenings and everywhere Friday nationwide. Out of a possible 10, I'm going to give Twisters a 9 out of 10. This is your summer popcorn film. You've not had one yet. You've had action films in the summer and the Bad Boy stuff. And you've had heartfelt films and The Inside Outs. And you've had funny films and The Minions, or Despicable Me 4, for lack of a better term. But you've not had a summer popcorn flick. This is your summer popcorn flick. This is the film that you go see with a group of friends in theaters and you're just blown away as you watch it. This is the film, if you can get to a 4DX screen anywhere in this country, if it's any film you need to see in 4DX, this is the film. Because I'm going to go see it again, because I need to see this film in 4DX. If there's any film you're going to see in 4DX, Twisters is the film to see in 4DX. I think you're going to be entertained to the utmost like I was. And if you saw the original Twister, or if you happen to saw the original Twister in theaters like I did, I think it's going to blow you away even more. But if you saw the original Twister, I think it's a good refresher to do, because it's a lot of elements that they take from that film and put in this film. But it still doesn't steal from your enjoyment away from this film. It's just going to add an extra layer of nostalgia that's going to have you enjoy it. But check it out. Let us know what you think. This has been another JVS movie review. Peace, people.